Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Free at the Back podcast. My name is Paul. I'm with my good pal Scott, aka FPL Heavy Metal. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Doing very good. Yeah. Good week at work. FPL last week was okay.
Meh.
Dodged a bullet, I think. Yeah. It was a low scoring week. I'm just above the average. Rolled a transfer. So I think all in all, decent. Yeah. Yourself?
I am finding FPL tough. It's been a tough start. I think with a lot of creators are finding it tough going so far. I feel like I've just been a bit unlucky, to be honest. It's a hard one to call. Combination of a bit of unlucky and probably poor captain picks from my part, I think.
Well, that's not unlucky. That's just poor management, isn't it?
A little bit, but you know what it's like.
No?
Yeah, yeah, true. Again, we're another man down this week. Darren is still enjoying the ray of sunshine on holiday, so it will continue to be two up top, getting all the strike forces in. So let's keep scoring those goals. So this week we are wrapping up how we did in game week 5, talking about all the talking points, then moving on to what holds in game week 6. The big debate is obviously Salah versus Haaland. Who do you go for? And also, I guess, chip strategy, because a lot of people I see will be probably wildcarding this week to attempt to get Haaland in their squad with the favourable Burnley fixture as well as the favourable Man City fixtures ongoing. So that's what we will be discussing today.
Big week for chip usage, not just wildcard. I think free hit would be quite big, and triple captain if you're already on Haaland.
Sure, and even bench boost. Yeah. I've heard some whispers of people using bench boost as well. So yeah, I guess let's get into it. I will share my screen.
You see how bad you actually did last week.
Oh God, yeah.
Do you think the slow start for some managers is because it's slightly new this year? More chips. There's a completely different way of playing. DEFCON hasn't really sort of settled yet, and people don't really know how to use it or utilize it. And then some people just got ahead of the curve. Maybe some casuals, as we discussed in game week 1, would sort of benefit from this way of playing. Yeah,
I tend to agree. I think you're right. I think there's been some outliers so far this season. I think DEFCON's definitely made its mark, especially with clean sheets being a bit. Well, I say hard to come by. They probably haven't been so far this season.
So we discussed last week. There was 10 clean sheets last week, and we discussed about the possibility of those carrying on, and then straight into this week, there was 2 which came in the same game. 18 out of 20 teams scored, so that sort of ruined that debate from last week, because we sort of in agreement that the clean sheets might be the new thing, big at the back. Didn't happen.
Well, I think, yes, because we spoke at the start of the season about them being hard to come by, and it kind of broke the mould so far this season. And like you say, put the cat amongst the pigeons, and all of a sudden clean sheets are gone.
Dried up, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, as point 2 says there, I think DEFCON points have started to come to the rescue, and I think people are starting to notice the importance of it.
Yeah.
Losing that clean sheet, you can get those 2 extra points back if you pick the right defenders, and that is fairly invaluable from getting an average score to a good score at this moment.
Well, you can double your score, because where some players like Tarkovsky would have picked up 2 points, he's starting basically on 3 already, even ever conceding goals. So if you throw in a clean sheet, a goal here and there, I mean, he's going to get some serious hauls at some point this season. Him and
Senesi, right?
Yeah.
So that's 10 extra points they've earned so far, if you're adding clean sheets, and especially if you can get any of them, get goals.
Yeah, which is huge in 5 weeks. That's huge.
Yeah, it's a real point of difference, and as I said last week, I'm becoming an advocate for it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got promoted teams looking good, which I think everyone have been in agreement that the 3 that have come up have looked pretty competitive, haven't they? That Sunderland game against an absolutely awful. I mean, we touched on Villa last week pretty in depth and what to do with Ollie Watkins. And I mean, I watched the entire game, and Villa were so poor. But Sunderland were the complete opposite. They looked committed. They chased every ball. They were down to 10 men for a long time in that game, and you would never have known. And fully deserved their point and look very good at the moment to stay up.
Yeah, I think the positive thing for them is they're not conceding very many, and they are managed to find in the back of the net, which usually those teams coming up struggle to do. So I think they've got all the ingredients at the moment to stay up. Yeah.
I'll only caveat Sunderland. They had the best 10 opening fixtures on paper at the start of the year.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Which must mean at some point they'll have an absolutely horrendous run of fixtures. So probably judge them more sort of after 10 games, I think, when that run hits. But if they get points on the board in those first 10, then they stand every chance.
Yeah, and I guess that goes on to the teams that we said would struggle at the start of the season, potentially being dragged into that relegation battle. It seems to be, we've seemed to have picked the right teams, the likes of Wolves and West Ham, all struggling to get points on the board at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you remove Villa from the bottom three, because I can't see Villa being there for too long. Emery's too much of a good coach to not be able to find a solution to what's going on there. Brentford, who we highlighted at the start of the season, could struggle, are struggling. They're looking very sort of weak at the back. And then you got Burnley looking okay. Certainly going forward, they look far better than I thought they would. I thought they would be very defensively set up, but they're actually scoring and creating chances and have a couple of decent cheap assets in the forward department that people are starting to look at. And Leeds, I mean, Leeds look solid all over the park. I mean, I always thought that they would stand a better chance of staying up out of three. And actually tipped them to stay up, but I thought they might struggle to score. Leeds, I thought they'd be pretty decent defensively, but they're actually doing all right in attack. Beating Wolves 3-1 pretty comfortably. Although if you see the stats from that game, they massively overperformed that XG. I think their XG was like something like 2.8, 2.8.
Wow.
And they scored 3 times. A direct free kick and a great finish from a tight angle. But yeah, going to be a good season, I think, because even if you look at the top end of the table, Liverpool not really firing, Arsenal looking good despite their tough fixtures, City showing flashes of their old self, you know, and the present FA Cup holders looking pretty good too. Yeah, I don't know how long Liverpool this week, so I'm not sure that's going to last.
It's going to be a tasty one for sure. And then I guess the big rivalry, the Man United versus Chelsea game, finished 2-1 in the end. Obviously, we said there, Palmer coming off injured, which I think is probably what it looks like a recurring part of his previous injury. Yeah,
reports. I mean, it was a strange game, wasn't it? Because they went down to 10 men after like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
the Sanchez red card,
silly one.
Yeah, and then he took off. Who did you take off? Neto? Was it as a sacrifice to bring on Jorgensen? And then, like 10 minutes later, he took Palmer off. And initially, I thought it was because of all the running that he was having to do, because United were like steaming through them.
They were, for sure.
So I thought, it was a tactical switch, but it later sort of come out that he was seen on the bench with ice on his groin, and it's a recurrence of this injury he's had sort of by the back end of last season. So, if you have Palmer in your team, he's 10.4 million. That's for me, that's way too much money to have with a player that you're not sure is going to start or even starts in the last 20 minutes. So I would cut him and use that money elsewhere for sure.
No, I tend to agree. I think there's plenty of premium players available and budget that you can spend elsewhere for sure.
Well, there's so many decent players around the sort of 6.5, 7 million mark in that midfield that you could pick up 2 of them, still have spare cash to lay somewhere else. So, I mean, did you watch the game yourself?
Yeah, I caught most of it.
And what did you make of United's performance against that 10 men for the time?
I thought they looked pretty good. Yeah, I thought they obviously controlled most of the game as you would expect, and Chelsea didn't really lay too much of a glove on them in that second half either.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for me, Man United are just a strange one. I see lots of people talking about Bruno Fernandes going forward as an option. And, he always is the main one to talk about when you're thinking of Man United in an FPL sense. I just look at them and just find them so unreliable. You just never know what Man United is going to turn up. And for that reason, that's why I tend to steer clear of them. But as always, Bruno is reliable with regards to assets, I think, goals and assists, etc. So I think he's got 15 chances he's created so far this season.
I think has he got the highest chance rate and the worst conversion rate, I think, for United, which shows that he's still doing his duties, even from a deep line position. Just that no one's putting him in for United, which is the same old story from last season.
Yeah, indeed. And then I
get
guess...
old Veghorst back. That's what I say.
For sure. And then next, I guess, on to the Haaland versus Salah debate. Liverpool versus Everton and Arsenal versus Man City. Did you catch these games, Scott?
I did. I mean, I watched watched both games. I mean, first off, the Liverpool game, I thought Liverpool deserved the win.
Yeah,
I thought they looked a lot better, a lot more like themselves. Was it coincidence that the Wirtz had been dropped and they went back to the same starting 11 pretty much from last season with Szoboszlai playing in the 10? They looked like there was more energy, more urgency, and because he doesn't demand the ball in odd positions, he's not crowding Salah. He wasn't going across and crowding Gakpo. He's allowing the midfield to run past him. I think when I've watched Liverpool with Wirtz, he wants to get involved with absolutely everything, and it slows him down.
Which is showing in his stats so far this season, right? I think.
Well, his stats. I mean, so many touches, but no end product. There's no sort of penetrating passes, and I think when he plays, Salah is instructed to stay wide because Wirtz wants to fill those spaces. Same with Gakpo on the other side. But when Szoboszlai plays there, it's more through the middle, and Gakpo and Salah are allowed to sort of come infield a little bit and be more dangerous and more involved in the build-up play. And it showed because Salah looked good on the back of his performance against Atletico in the Champions League. He looked back to his best in that game and looked threatening against Everton, who themselves were good. I thought Everton were decent in the game, and Liverpool still. Yeah, they look a decent side, Everton. They were mid-table, and I thought it was a better performance from Liverpool. Looked more like themselves. What do you think of the Wirtz benching and then looking slightly better without him?
Yes, it's one of those things that almost seems inevitable. Really, they just look more fluid with that midfield. Obviously, it's what they know, and like you say, it that way they seem to have more balance with regards to their front line as well. Whereas, having Wirtz in there, that it might just be a matter of timings. It might just take time for them to get used to how he is going to perform in that midfield and how he's going to, bring in the front line. Because in theory, he's been brought in to be that playmaker. But at the moment, it just obviously hasn't clicked to start the season. So it'd be interesting to see.
Can you see him playing deeper? Can you see him playing deeper? Maybe using Szoboszlai in the 10 and him Wirtz alongside Gravenberch in the sort of pivot.
Possibly, but it's definitely not his game going backwards. Whereas Szoboszlai can do that role pretty effectively. Yeah.
Because I think when you watch Liverpool in the first 4 games with Wirtz in there, and they conceded lots of chances, I saw a tactical lineup saying that that's their sort of concession to having Wirtz in the team, that he won't come back. That defensively they know they're going to be a little bit open, a little bit soft in that middle, but they're willing to give that up for his creativity. It looked like Slot had enough of them being a bit soft down the middle, and Szoboszlai coming in because he's a great athlete, isn't he? Gets up and down. Maybe, I mean, I watched the game. I thought, well, maybe this could be not the end of Wirtz's running the team, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has another benching this week.
Yeah, it's certainly time to ditch him if you have him, because his minutes definitely aren't guaranteed going forward.
But they paid so much money for him, so you sort of assume that he's going to start. I mean, what do Liverpool do if they buy someone like that and it doesn't work? I mean, that sort of money you've invested in somebody, surely you don't sack him off after 4 games, do you? But, I guess they've got to find a way of getting him in.
They do. I guess they do. When you do spend that money, I think, they will have to give him the opportunity to find his feet. And I think that's probably it. I think, stylistically, him and Szoboszlai are very different kind of number 10s.
Yeah.
Wirtz likes to have the ball at his feet. He likes to do, little tidy 1-2s, tidy little touches, and he likes to be the one on the end of them a lot of the time. Whereas Szoboszlai is very much kind of a quarterback style number 10 who will sole purpose is just to play make. So I think that's probably the difference, especially when you've got players like Salah, who's a born goal scorer.
Yeah,
he wants to be making those runs that probably Wirtz also probably wants to make.
Yeah. Well, I say that when I watched him, he's taken up those little pockets that Salah would normally drift into, and I think because of that, Salah's been staying wide.
When you've got a top striker like Ekatike's been, and obviously Isak, who will come in eventually.
It'll be very interesting to see how it all
focal
works.
number 9.
Yeah,
it's also going to mean that. Well, I guess that's why they paid the big bucks for him, right? He's footballer's footballer. He needs to find a way himself to fit in, and how he's going to make Liverpool better.
I guess last season, the beauty of them having a smaller squad, everyone knew they were almost guaranteed minutes, and they clicked as a team. And I guess that can galvanise players. If you know you're going to play week in, week out, now they've got the luxury of having a much bigger squad, depth in numbers, and they've spent a small fortune. Maybe that'll work against them in time, where Slot can't quite get them all in, they don't quite click. I guess time will tell. That they haven't played particularly well, but they have won all their games.
Yeah,
without it clicking. Well, absolutely. I mean, but I just thought it was telling that last week they looked much more like themselves without their big money signing, or either of them, because Isak didn't play either.
Agreed. I tend to agree. And then on to the Sunday game, Arsenal versus Man City. Where do you want to start there?
Well, you start, because you probably got 35 minutes worth of waffle to get through. So knock it out.
I'll be very quick. Kind of played out how I expected it to play out. It was a very cagey affair. Two teams trying to, feel each other out quite a lot.
Were you surprised that Pep went crazy, parked the bus? He even brought on 2 buses at one point.
To be honest, yeah. It's not something that I thought was in Pep's wheelhouse. To be honest, it's something that we haven't really seen in his time, specifically in the Premier League, because they're usually so dominant. But yeah, I think we matched them quite well. We can try to control the game where possible, and it obviously was Pep's game plan to try and sit in and play on their counter attack, and obviously it worked. For 93 minutes of the game, it worked really well, because we couldn't find a way through. Haaland obviously was impeccable, scoring a beautiful counter attack goal. Yeah, Arsenal's team selection I found a bit strange. Started giving Trossard his first start of the season seemed a bit weird to me. I'm assuming it'd be it's a tactical thing, but it.
So what would he play Trossard there instead of Eze or Martinelli? What would be the rationale for that?
My thought process is his groundwork going backwards.
Right.
I think he was thinking if Arsenal are pushed backwards, he will cover the ground.
So I tend to get a lot of criticism.
Calafiori.
He gets a lot of criticism for being negative. So you're thinking that he's brought in a striker for his defensive work. Just I guess highlighting his negative. I guess the mud that gets thrown his way.
Yeah, but it's one of those. It's. I must admit, I'm the first to think we could have won that. If we'd a bit more positive, we could have won it. But on the same flip side of the coin, I've seen my team get smashed by Man City and Liverpool in previous seasons. 4-5-0 ourselves. So to go 5 games unbeaten against a juggernaut like Man City is no easy feat. And it was always going to be a tight game. Like, people are making out like Man City, although they've had a slower start to the season as history would prevail, they're still a top side.
Yeah.
There's nowhere around that. So, we had to be at our best.
And wasn't it the lowest percentage of possession that Pep's ever had in any game in his career? Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
34%, which I guess highlights how dominant you were. But for me, watching it as a neutral, I always felt that you had the game, it was there to win. I always felt like that one chance would come along, and you would have to take it. And obviously, the took 2 subs to come on and change the game, playing Eze in the Odegaard role, which I thought was quite interesting because Madueke went off at half time with a potential injury.
Yeah,
that's come out, and he brought Saka on, which I thought was bold considering Saka hasn't played for a while. And then he brought Eze on in the midfield, and he obviously chipped the ball over the back line. And Martinelli, who's been much maligned at the start of this season, comes up with the goods again. 2 games in a row. Take the Champions League game into account because he looked back to his best in that game.
for sure.
So gives Arteta a bit of a headache for this game week coming. But I thought you deserved the point. It was a fair result, I thought, over the balance of the game. And I thought the City goal was something, I mean, I put in our group chat, there's something you never see Arsenal concede, is that sort of charge through the middle.
No, I think it's because there were so many players in that midfield area.
Yeah.
And to lose it there was you're always going to cause yourself some issues. Gabriel was the one that was pressing and lost it. And then, 2-on-2. Everyone's chasing back. There was only really going to be one winner, and unfortunately, Saliba decided that he didn't want to gamble on getting to Haaland rather than giving Reinders more space, which is probably what he should have done.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting tactical thing that Pep did as well. He kept bringing Doku infield and almost playing alongside Haaland at some points.
Yeah, it was almost 2 up top.
Almost 2 up top, yeah. And I think the last place that the defensive side wants to see Doku is playing through the middle, because that guy can run and he can beat players. And if he's doing that through the centre of the park, he's a weapon. And I think Pep's going to use that more and more as the season wears on. So Doku could become an asset if he gets minutes, which is always the big thing, obviously, with City.
Yeah, the Pep roulette, for sure.
The bit of Pep roulette, yeah. But I thought Reinders looked good. It's only the second time I've seen him in a City shirt. His energy and passing and breaking up plays is just what City have missed.
I just don't think there's any FPL assets at his budget that provide what he can provide.
No, he's absolute class, and he's definitely 2 million underpriced, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I know a lot of people sold him because he hadn't returned for a couple of weeks, but he will get returns regularly, won't he, in that side?
Yeah, if he carries on playing pretty much number 10.
Yeah,
behind Haaland and Doku, then yeah, for sure.
Any other games that you want to pick out quick? Anything stand out? Obviously, apart from the lack of clean sheets, I mean that is mad, isn't it?
It is. I guess one thing, the Brighton Spurs game, Brighton's fixtures will start to get a bit nicer soon. So I definitely have been fairly impressed, considering the tough start to the season they've had fixture-wise, that they've definitely got some attacking assets that are probably worth
They always score goals. They got my issue with Brighton is they got so many attacking options. I don't know who to pick. I think Matoma's the only one that's like semi-nailed. The rest I couldn't name you from one game to the next, really.
Yeah, it looks like Mincer's got that right-hand side pretty locked down.
Yeah.
For sure.
Rooster maybe.
Spurs surprisingly conceding Ange-type goals, like high lines.
They haven't quite rinsed him out yet, have they?
No, they need another wash. But yeah, other than that, obviously Forest's form continues to be lackluster, which is a shame because, again, their fixtures are quite nice going forward.
Well, this is the last fixture for them, isn't it? They got a nice one this week, and then I think people will start jumping off. Especially once Ange gets his feet under the table and that back line starts to push up, with the pace of Milinkovic, they'll be getting run ragged because that guy's pretty slow, isn't he? Yeah, but there's no other sort of fixtures that jump out. I mean, obviously Palace's win, 17 unbeaten. It wasn't going to end at West Ham, that's for sure. West Ham looking poor. Potter is a
dead man walking.
You heard the latest rumours that he's basically been sacked, but not officially sacked.
Yeah, I've heard the whispers on the grapevine.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? But I guess that is inevitable because he hasn't got going for West Ham. Yeah, back in the last season they were just as bad, and start of this season they're probably worse. So yeah, inevitable.
All right, should we get on to our game week 5 scores and then move on to our Haaland versus Salah discussion?
Sure thing.
So I think you were just above the average, Scott. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was
Yeah.
around 42-ish.
Average was 42. I mean, I rolled the transfer. I kept Salah, Ismaila Sarr, because I think he will be ready this week. He might not start this week, but I think he's still one of my favourite 6.5 assets to keep.
Yeah.
His data is fantastic, and on the eye test, he looks great. So I was always keen to hold him. I also held Palmer. Big reason for rolling was the news that he was going to play, and obviously we covered that. He lasted 20 minutes. So when we touch on our plans for next week, you might see a big Palmer-sized hole in my team. Yep, and a lovely budget used elsewhere. Yeah, I'm quite happy. I'm really happy with the way my team is set, because that team there, lots of people are wildcarding to it to get Haaland in, to get Reinders in. My only player in that team that really needs to be addressed moving forward is Watkins. He missed an absolute sitter in that game that we didn't touch on. I mean, I almost threw my TV out the window. I only didn't because the TV is actually bigger than the window. But I measured it, and if it had fit, it'd have gone.
Just in case.
Yeah. He survives another week because I've got other issues brewing in the team, so he survives another week. And then, yeah, but I'm happy. I'm happy with that team. 44, decent, over 300 points. I'm $500,000 in the world, which is a decent, strong start.
Yeah.
So, happy. Yourself? Let me look at your team.
Yeah.
Again, balance.
It was a tough one. Obviously, blanking in defence and then blanking up front. Tough going. Obviously, I only got points from my midfield. I had a clean sheet on my bench and a DEFCON point haul on my bench as well.
Who's on your bench and what defenders on there?
I believe it was Juve that got the DEFCON points.
Juve, yeah. We got the assist.
Cool. And then I had Petrovic in goal on my bench as well. So it was a tough week going. Obviously, the 5-minute red card kind of threw the captaincy. That a lot of people went on Pedro, so I wasn't the only one. But yeah,
I was on Palmer, so it could have been worse, mate. I was on Palmer.
Yeah, I guess, for sure. But yeah, overall, like I said, I just think I was a little bit unlucky. I decided to roll with Watkins instead of making the transfer that I said I was going to make in last week's episode. I decided to roll it because I wasn't 100% convinced on which one to pick and whether it was really worthwhile, knowing that I am going to wildcard this week.
Sure, it doesn't make a lot of sense to make a transfer the week before a wildcard, because you'd rather come out the back end of that wildcard with those two transfers.
If there's any issues after the wildcard.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Sure. And then on to Darren's team, which, he's had a tough week there for sure.
So this is the second week after his wildcard, isn't it?
Yes. So we did say to him that bringing in Isaac was probably a week or so too soon.
Yeah.
It might be a couple of weeks too soon, to be fair, how it's currently looking, obviously, with Ekatike's form.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Paquetá's numbers on the surface are good, but again, West Ham's form is so bad that I don't think he's a reliable source going forward. Grealish, I quite like the Grealish pick, but again, I think Njai is the much more reliable pick from their attack.
Well, he's a goal threat in Njai, where Grealish is the assist. Njai's on penalties, and obviously Grealish can't play. Is it game week 8 they play City?
That's correct, yeah.
As he's on loan, he can't play, so Darren probably hasn't considered that either. So
you'll have to think about that for that game. After this week going forward. And then, again, defence, again, unlucky. Obviously, Tosin. Not sure why he got a 0. Why did he get a 0?
Got booked.
He did. Yes, I think it's a tough week all round, to be honest, with an average of 42. I think, yeah,
with only 2 clean sheets in the whole game week, I guess scores would be lower because all your defenders would have scored basically, unless they had an assist or scored themselves. Then I guess the average score would be low. But a 25-point week, the second week after your wildcard, probably not the best place to be in.
No, I guess there's room for improvement, but Yeah, I guess we'll have to speak to Darren when he's back off his holiday, see what his plans are.
Well,
Right. Should we get to our Haaland versus Salah?
Yeah. Interesting debate. So we looked at Darren's team just there, and he wildcarded 2 weeks ago, and he's gone with Salah. Okay, so the big trend this week for game week 6 is the reverse. Is to ditch Salah and use that money to change to Haaland, because Haaland is the man in form.
Yeah.
He's got the Burnley fixture, and they got a couple of nice fixtures after that.
We do.
If you look at the fixture graphic there, I mean, Burnley, Brentford, Everton, three decent fixtures, whereas Liverpool got a run of winnable games, but a lot harder.
Yeah,
and I mean,
lower
but look
scoring,
at the stats.
Potentially.
Yeah, I mean, look at the stats. I mean, if you remember last season, we had this same debate. Salah, Haaland, all right? they're the two big hitters. They're the two most explosive players in the game. Similar prices now because Haaland's had a couple of bumps. Salah's remained at 14.5. But those stats are just phenomenal for Haaland. You can't ignore them. I've written down here my question for you this week. I know you were waiting for this.
Yeah. Is it now?
It's now.
God.
So it's a 50-50.
Oh God, I'll be wrong.
So
go on, then.
Who's got the highest big chance this season? Is it Haaland or is it the entire Liverpool team?
Haaland.
Ooh. Yes, just. So
Yeah.
Haaland's had 10 big chances. Liverpool as an entire unit have had 9.2.
Wow.
So that just shows you his complete dominance. And there's a stat as well that this is the worst start to a Premier League season that he's had, Haaland.
Yeah, I saw that the other day, yeah.
Which is crazy. He hasn't had a penalty yet, so all these stats are non-penalty. So if you threw in the odd penalty going forward, which is going to happen, those stats look even bigger. And I guess what you got to weigh up is, that Salah's going to come good.
Yeah,
as we spoke about, Verts not being in the team, Salah looked like he had more space to move into. So is it dangerous to do this? Because Salah is elite, and he has returned in 4 of the 5 games. Don't forget, he just hasn't looked the Salah of old, I guess. But he has returned in 4 of those 5 games still. What are your thoughts? I know you're planning a wild card and doing that move. Do you think you're behind the curve, or do you think you'll get burnt by leaving Salah now Salah goes on an awesome run?
For me, it's been the eye test, these two players outside of the stats. Like some of those, the assist, for example, the Rio Nagoma assist was...
But he played it to Soboslai, who
an element of luck.
Yeah.
And I think that some of his returns have been fairly fortuitous, I should say.
He's had a penalty, 94th minute penalty. He had the last minute goal, the 4th goal against Bournemouth in the opening day.
Yeah,
and look quite anonymous as well in those games as well, right?
Again, I go back to with Isak potentially coming into that starting lineup in the coming game weeks. Again, the question is, does that take away from Salah as an FPL asset? Because obviously Isak will want to be the main goal scorer going forward. So, yeah, I feel like I'm obviously Haaland's in red hot form, and I think that's one thing I'm starting to become more accustomed with, is form doesn't lie from an FPL sense, and I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think looking at those fixtures, looking at the form that Haaland himself is in, I can only see it going one way, whereas Salah is still having to, although his returns, like you say, 4 and 5 is still very good.
But it's not 14.5 mil good though, is it?
It's not, in the sense when you again look at the eye test, look at the underlying stats behind it. It's been a tough watch from a Salah owner perspective. And again, I've always been a big advocate of his because he's always been so reliable. Like you say, I guess the stats here prove my point. 4 returns in 5 games where he hasn't particularly played very well yet. It says it all.
Does Salah things. That's what he does, though, isn't it? I mean, that's what
exactly.
He's...
So that's kind of the reason why I had him in the first place. Obviously, now I feel like it's the right time to jump off him onto Erling, where his fixtures are now becoming nicer, where there's potential even more upside to the 6 goals in 5 games that he already has.
So if you cast your mind back to this time last season,
I think I had it the other way around.
The other way around. So we all started with you started with Haaland last year.
Yeah.
And he was red hot, and Salah was sort of keeping pace, but not just behind him. Everyone jumped onto Haaland, and he dried up, and City went on an awful run, and Salah just took off at that point. Sort of game week 7, game week 8, he just took off, and people really struggled to then get back onto him because all the money was tied up in the front line. Whereas this year we have the extra chips, which allows you to jump on. What's your plan if Haaland now dries up and Salah starts to show signs he's back? What do you have a plan in place to pivot back to him?
I'd like to say I do. I don't have a specific plan, but obviously I've got the free hit chip that I can use to bring them both in further down the line, or take both of them out, which probably potentially will be for game week 11, where you can free hit them out.
And have you considered in your wildcard build having both of them?
I haven't, and that's because, again, I feel tying up your budget, I struggle to see the options on the lower end of the scale. Obviously, you've got the decent £4.5 million defenders that you can probably bolster your whole defence with if you really wanted to. But when you look at the midfield and specifically the strikers, it's hard to find value in there once you start, dipping lower than, the kind of the 8 million mark in strikers, and probably around the 7 to 6.5 million mark in midfielders. You start to come slimmer pickings, especially with some of the fixture swings that are upcoming.
Yeah, I guess Palmer's injury. My plan was always to have Haaland and Palmer being 4 million cheaper than Salah made that money go a lot further. So Palmer not being an option, in my view, opened the door to bring Salah in. I must admit, I have looked at doing that down the line, just with transfers.
Yeah.
But I think I need to see a bit more from him first. I want to see a bit more consistency. I want to see the old Salah from last season, and I want to see Liverpool ticking and purring like they were last year. There's been certain like hints here and there, but not they're not oiled for me. They're sort of struggling and limping through games, whereas City are scoring goals and Haaland is literally on fire.
Yeah, the next 3 games for Liverpool will be interesting because there are a couple of potential banana skins. Obviously, Crystal Palace away is always a tough place to go. Again, Chelsea away, they'll be up for it. And even Man United. Man United always seem to be getting up for these big games, despite how bad their form is. So that will always also be a fairly tough on paper, I guess. So be interested to see how they do over the next coming game weeks. But again, that aligns with how favourable again City's fixtures are on paper.
Yeah, I mean, you got Champions League obviously has started, and there'll be a few Champions League fixtures thrown in between those games as well. I think is it between 6 and 7 there's a Champions League game leading into the international break.
Yeah, correct.
I know Salah plays every minute, but for Haaland, maybe he came off in the 70th minute of the weekend, apparently asked to be subbed.
Tired.
Because he was fatigued, feeling his back. But that did come on the end of, they played on the Thursday in the Champions League, and then they played the Sunday. So two hard games back to back, and I guess he was feeling it. And he'll get a rest in the Cup this week. He won't play in the EFL Cup.
Yeah.
So they'll be fully rested for Burnley this weekend. Now, that's a lovely way into my triple captain dilemma for this week. It's going to be huge, right? I mean, chip usage is going to be huge. I mean, you're on a wild card. I think Darren has decided he's going to
free hit,
use free hit because why not? Because it's just another week, and I'm seriously weighing up the triple captain for Haaland this week.
I think it'd be
very popular. I mean, I don't know if you got the stats there for Burnley. They've conceded the most big chances.
Yeah.
They have the highest XGC against. And obviously you can see Haaland's attacking numbers there. So you got the hottest striker in Europe playing the weakest team in the defensive area in the league. It's a match made in heaven, right? But I remember last season when Haaland played Southampton and everyone went triple captain. and he struggled. And I think he amounted almost a 3 XG in that game, and come away with 1 return. So I have reservations because I think of the matchups as more important. I think Burnley going to sit in, play that low block, probably 10 men behind the ball, make it really difficult, kill all the spaces in that sort of around the 18-yard box. It's not Haaland's game to be like he wants spacing behind, he wants crosses coming in. I can just see it being a really frustrating game. I can see him picking up a return, but not a triple captain hit of like a hat trick or 2 goals and an assist. So I'm not sure. I'm 50-50 at the moment. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, again, Burnley haven't been that bad overall. I don't think as a package, but yeah, when you're coming up against such a red hot striker and they'll have all of the ball being at home, I just see it being a game where they're just going to keep knocking on the door, and I just can't see him not getting a couple at least.
Really? You feel that strongly about it?
Yeah, I just feel like it's one of those games that once one goes in, the floodgates could open.
Okay. Well, I hope you're right, because I mean, I saw
guess that's what most people are probably hoping for.
Well, you look at his price. So his price has gone from 14.1. It's up to 14.3 now. I think he's going to go up to 14.4 overnight. He's being brought in at a rate of knots. I think by the weekend, he's probably going to be 14.5. Everyone that's brought him in is going to captain him.
He has.
You're going to captain him.
670,000 transfers in.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be over 1 million. By the weekend, it's going to be over 1 million. You're going to captain him by bringing him in. Obviously, you can't triple captain him because you're wild carding, but you'll be on the captain. People that have him already or bring him in on transfers will triple captain him. His effective ownership is going to be a sort of around 150 mark, which is madness, I guess, to back against it. Because if you do and it goes wrong, you are stuffed.
Yeah.
But if you back against it and he only gets 1 return, then you sort of, you're laughing a little bit. Because I'm looking at the other teams I could use it. I mean, I want to use it on Haaland because he's so explosive. And I really hope that the West Ham game was going to be sooner. But it's not until game week 16, I think, which is too long to wait. Because anything can happen in that time. Haaland could be injured. West Ham could, suddenly be better under a different manager. But I guess use it this week. Yeah. I mean, Wolves would have been a nice week, but that was the opening day of the season where he scored twice.
Yep.
Yeah. If Peel knew up front the Wolves are going to be weak defensively, then that would have been a nice one to have used it on. So I guess you sort of default to this fixture, because that West Ham one is so far away.
Yeah. It's the most obvious one, I guess, in the short term.
Yeah.
For sure.
Still not sure.
All right, mate. Well, let's move on to some Game Week 6 discussion points. So I just wanted to bring in some DEFCON stats, courtesy of FPL Kareem. Thank you for pulling the imagery together. It looks great.
Yeah, good stats because he's got some player stats and team stats, which is always very handy. The team stats, I think, I find more useful than the player stats because they're harder to put together. So yeah, good work, my man. Yeah,
it's a very, very good thing to pull together because it just gives you some thinking points on what teams to focus against.
Yeah,
for sure.
And any coincidence that Villa are top on both those opposite stats there? I mean, that just shows you, doesn't it? That shows you how poor they've been.
Yeah, really struggling.
Yeah, conceding lots of defensive points and virtually nothing on the attacking front. So, but when you watch them, that's exactly how they look. I guess you don't need the stats to tell you that. No, they've been very poor, haven't they? Yeah, and West Ham in there as well. So looking at those. I mean, you're on wildcard. So are you thinking of bringing in DEFCON central defenders as opposed to attacking wing backs now? Are you slowly sort of coming around to that sort of way of thinking?
Yeah, I must admit, my wildcard will probably look pretty template based on the players I've picked. I have gone very safe with some of these DEFCON performers for sure. I just feel like it's a way to get ahead if those clean sheets dry up. And yeah, as we've seen in previous seasons, they were fairly difficult to come by. So I've picked a combination. Of players that I think were more guaranteed to keep clean sheets, like Arsenal defence, for example, Newcastle defence, and then some of the DEFCON guys, the Evertons, the Bournemouth, defenders. Even Sunderland, those top 3 teams, I've got 1 player from each.
Yeah.
In my wildcard team.
Yeah, I mean, there was a game actually from last week that I forgot to mention. And what I was going to mention was the Sunderland rearguard against Villa. And they're centre halves, both of them. Outstanding performances. The lad from Germany that you picked out a few weeks ago.
Yep.
He was everywhere. It was like there was 4 of him on the pitch. He was taking the long throws. He was getting the first flick-ons for corners. He was winning every clearing header. One of the best performances from a centre half I've seen for a long time. It was.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Michele.
Who's his playing partner? Is it Alcassi?
Is it Alderete? I don't know.
Alderete?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I mean, he had an equally good game.
Yeah,
equally good game. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you butcher the names, right? There's whatever. English isn't our first language, so
for sure. Definitely not mine.
But they looked so solid, both at 4 million. So there's real value. We spoke about the Burnley centre halves last week. You got centre halves at Leeds as well, Rodon, Goodness in the left back. So there's real value in those.
There's plenty of value in that £4 to £4.5 million mark.
Yeah.
So I think that's why you have to be pretty certain when you're spending premium money on those defenders that they're going to come good.
And players like Porro and Daniel Munoz from Palace, and probably a few others, maybe Lewis Hall from last season, priced at $5.5 million, look a little overpriced at the current rate because they're not picking up the DEFCON points. You're relying on those assists which come sporadically. I guess they stand more chance of a goal.
Yeah.
But again, it comes sporadically. These DEFCONs will just tick over, and probably in the long run will be more beneficial to have than not have.
Well, I guess it's no coincidence that the guys that are achieving DEFCON are up there with the top scoring defenders.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So I think it's definitely the way to go for me anyway.
Well, we're 5 game weeks in. I mean, do you think that will, say you took the sample size over 10 games, do you still think the same trend will be happening? Or do you think with the odd attacking return from like Porro or Munoz, it will start to skew it again after sort of 10 weeks?
Obviously, early season form, everyone's not up to full speed. So I think that's definitely something to consider. But, once these teams are up to full speed, then some of these attacking wing-backs might become more desirable, the Porros and the Munoz, like you mentioned, because, they will hopefully be more reliable with their attacking outputs, whereas currently it seems, like you say, it seems to be few and far between, really, with any of the wing-backs outside of really Calafiori and Timber so far.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, and their returns won't be regularly because they're not out and out attacking wingbacks, are they?
No.
I was thinking more like Cucurella. He's priced at 6-1. Probably not worth the price tag when you can pick up a Senesi for 4.7, who's going to outscore him in most weeks. The looks of things. Yeah,
no, I think you're probably spot on in the current vibes of the game. Like you say, I guess we just need to make our judgment when we're another 6 game weeks in, see if there's anything changed.
That's until the frizzy-haired Spaniard pops up and scores a tap-in and hauls 18 points and people start jumping all over him. It's like, it will happen, won't it? The swing will go back that way. So I guess until it happens, the safety picks are those centre halves.
Well, I get, like you said, I guess going back to the old most transferred in.
Oh, the curse.
The curse. Yeah. Obviously, Haaland is that this week so far. So let's not talk that into fruition.
Triple captain's off, mate.
Does Semenyo getting defensive contributions count?
Well, he did, didn't he? He blanked. Yeah, he blanked. Had a poor game, actually, by all accounts. His stats were quite low. Didn't really get involved. I mean, in a 0-0 draw, I mean, defence wins out, right? He picked up, was it 14 defensive contributions for?
Yeah.
Which showed you the state of the game, I guess. He's doing all his work going backwards.
But again, I go back to it. It's just a nice added bonus. Like in previous seasons, that would have been a blank and a bad day at the office. But getting 5 points out of it is a Brucey bonus.
I would put it down as a blank because it wasn't an attacking return.
I'll take it,
might
mate.
be,
I'll take all the
They might be
points I
splitting
can get.
hairs. If Haaland picks up DEFCON points and blanks as triple captain, I certainly won't be taking that as a win.
Okay, and then going on to teams to target. So I've taken this graphic from Fantasy Football Hub. Apologies, the colours haven't come across as originally intended, but
It's very pastel.
yeah, you can go find it yourself. We'll put the link in the description, but it gives you the top 10 based on fixture difficulty over these next 6 game weeks.
So have you used this in part to build your wildcard team?
Yeah, I've used it to kind of support my thought process in teams to target.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's certain teams that I haven't looked at, like, for example, Forest, although they have by the algorithm of the Fantasy Football Hub, have the easiest next 6 fixtures based on their form. I just can't justify having players in there. They're just not reliable. So, you know, I'm always looking at, I've looked at Spurs, Chelsea, City, Everton, Arsenal. Again, I've avoided Villa based on their form, avoided Wolves based on their form, West Ham. But yeah, the others, I've considered assets from all of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll probably see assets from most of them in my team.
It's funny, tickers always, depending on what week you take it from. So if you move that forward to game week 7, Arsenal will probably be right near the top once you remove the game this week. Their run starts to look really nice.
That's why I kind of like to look at like a 6-week snapshot, because if I was to, like you say, if I was to put that to game week 15, for example, from now, it would probably throw up a different result. But the likelihood that we all have the same team from 6 to 15 is very unlikely. So that's why I kind of like to look at it in these type of snapshots, because after then you start to make, well, you'd probably tinker all the way through, really, as we do most weeks.
Yeah. And what was your, I haven't asked you yet, what was your sort of current reason for wildcarding now?
Current reason was a little bit of squad balance. I wanted to get off Forest assets. I wanted to get out of Watkins. I think I've only changed probably half my squad with regards to the squad I already have. And obviously getting Haaland in was probably the main thought process and how I build a squad for these next 6 game weeks that are going to capitalise on the City and Arsenal fixture swing.
Yeah, I think the sort of common theme is that people are jumping off Liverpool, Salah, etc., because their run sort of swings a little bit. Yeah, and you're right, Arsenal and City do go on a nice run. Newcastle as well, assets to think about, but I guess they're a lot harder to pick who you would have unless you go defensively. They currently sit top of the defensive charts. Newcastle.
That was definitely my focus, because they're not particularly scoring very many goals. So
I guess you lose one of the best strikers in Europe at your team, hard to replace. And I guess until Visser's up and running and fit, he'll be an asset, I think, in that team
for sure
when he's ready. Because I think they do create a lot of chances, don't they? They just need someone to put the ball in the net. Voltemade, to me, did you see his stats from the week just gone?
I didn't. Enlighten me.
An absolute stinker in 0 XG and I think 0.02 XA. Something like 18 touches. Yeah, it was a proper stinky performance, which was a shame because the week before he scored and played well. But I think that game's hard to read, isn't it? It was a 0-0 draw. It was a midfield dog fest, and the strikers never got a sniff. Yeah.
And again, using these top attacks and top defenses stats, obviously, and also to support. Obviously, that's why I've looked at Arsenal defense, for example, going forward, City's attack. But yeah, based on obviously this includes game week 5, but based on these stats, obviously they've put Liverpool fairly favourable in the in the top scoring odds, which I guess you'd expect with the level of attack they've got. So I guess you kind of have to take these as a guide more than anything.
Well, you play the odds, don't you? I think what you do is you look at the fixtures and say, well, Liverpool will score, but are they going to score less than they did in the previous 5 games? You know, I think the answer probably is yes. And then Arsenal and City take over, because you can't have all, because they're the 3 teams that carry the most value, the highest rated players in the league. You can't have them all. So I guess you use these fixture tickers to balance it up a little bit and try and get ahead of the curve with it.
For sure. All right, mate. Shall we get on to our Game Week 6 teams?
Do it.
You're first.
So I've made my moves. That's twice this year. I've gone ahead of the transfer, not waited.
Dangerous.
Purely because it's price dependent. I thought Palmer would be dumped. He already lost me 0.1 for holding him for the 2 weeks that he was out.
Yeah.
I think he'll be dumped regularly now. The ones that did hold on to him, you just can't rely on an asset of that value if he's not fit enough to last 20 minutes. I'd rather him take a few weeks off and get this issue seen to and sorted and come back after the international break firing.
Yeah.
Because I think in game week 9, Chelsea's fixtures do turn for the best. So if he's fit and firing, then he'll come back into the picture.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've gone Indai, gone the Everton double up, ditched my Brighton defender because he's been pony. Having me and you bigged him up pre-season and got him in. He's done absolutely nothing. And Tarkovsky, who is the DEFCON master for this beautiful West Ham fixture. West Ham looking so poor. I can see Indai getting on the score sheet. I can see everyone keeping a clean sheet. And Tarkovsky getting a nice little haul.
Ignore my pricing misprint there. Tarkovsky is not 7 million.
I'll probably still, for this fixture, I'll probably pay 7 million for him, to be honest. But what it means is the detriment to my team is that Ollie Watkins survives another week.
Oof.
Now looking at this, you go, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? And I have to question myself, really, what am I doing? I've gone for the attack. I still believe he'll come good. He's got to have a return in him in the next couple of weeks. He's got Fulham this week, then he got Burnley. I can see myself holding him for those 2 weeks because I've got other issues, and I'm working towards a game week 11 bench boost. I worked out the other day. Game week 11 has some lovely matchups, so that's what I'm working towards. He won't be in my team by then. I reckon he could still well be in there, depending on injuries and what have you.
Okay.
Maybe by that point he's scored back-to-back hat-tricks and nobody else has him in the team, and I'm looking like a genius. I don't think so because they've looked so poor. So going early on the transfers means he survives. He's still there, grinning. He doesn't even know why he's still there. Yeah, and then captaincy is definitely going to be on Haaland, and whether that goes to a triple, like we mentioned, I'm not sure. I'm 50-50. I'll give it some thought. I'll look at some data, and I'll probably do it Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Decide for sure. Yeah.
Okay. No, I like it. Obviously, yeah, I understand your apprehension with Watkins. I assume you're saving it for your game week 7 transfers to get the Arsenal assets in that you've mentioned.
Yeah, so I banked 3 million. So my plan for 7 would be to get Gabriel in for Milenkovic. And then game week 8, I'll probably take out Hermansen for Raya to get my Arsenal double up for game week 8. Yeah, and then at some point, Watkins will probably become Vic G for an Arsenal triple up. I just want to see that he's guaranteed starts. I'm not sure how long Havertz is still got on the sidelines. I think Marino could take minutes off him as well if Arsenal want to get a bit sort of physical. And I've not been overly not impressed with him. I think I've been less impressed with the way Arsenal are trying to not play to his strengths. And he's almost been a bit sort of like on the fringes of the game and doesn't quite. They're basically not using his skills, his strength in behind, his channel running. They're not sort of using his main attributes. I think more than being unimpressed with him personally.
I tend to agree. I don't think Arsenal and Gyökeres has kind of clicked into gear yet.
Mm-mm.
Arsenal from a full team sense, I don't think we've particularly played our best football to start the season. I think it might take some more time, really, for it to click into gear with regards to Gyökeres and Arsenal playing with him.
With Saka coming back, because Saka's such a integral part of the way Arsenal play, do you think him being back will unleash him a bit more? Because Saka's more inclined to play those balls as opposed to Matabaki using his legs to get the ball to the byline, and that Saka will be sort of looking for Gyökeres' runs.
I hope so. Obviously, I just want us to kind of start to build some cohesions between the players, and I think you can tell that's kind of lacking at the moment. You know, I'm hoping Eze can start to come in and start to find his feet. Obviously, he's already got 2 assists, and he's, again, not at his best as of yet. I think it's just going to take a bit of time for everyone to start clicking into place, but I'm confident that, they will do. I think, you'll probably see a more dominant Vic G once that happens. I think you're right. Saka probably coming in.
Yeah.
Might make that happen.
And will he still be on penalties with Saka then? That's the big question really for me.
I would think so. Yes. From my gut feel would be yes.
Okay. Because Saka's never looks particularly like he's up for taking a penalty, like confident.
Just to take the responsibility away from anybody else.
Yeah.
I think he's gone, I'm seen as the big guy here. I'll take them. Whereas I think with Vic G coming in, who's a natural penalty taker, he'll go, well, he'll lap it up. Obviously, that takes pressure off Saka to perform elsewhere.
Okay, you sold him to me. So once Watkins completely dries up, I don't know how much more he's got to dry up. Then Gyökeres is in.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, should we move on to my wildcard team?
Let's have a look. I haven't seen this yet. So are you, before we look at it, are you building towards a bench boost anytime soon?
I haven't picked a week yet that I'm gonna do it. So no.
So you haven't picked a 15 to do it soon?
No, is the answer.
Okay.
No, there might be a good week to do it, but I must admit I haven't focused on that when picking this team.
Okay.
Which
go on and run through your team. Well, it's just the usual thing is that you wild card to bench boost the following week or pretty soon after your wild card because you can build a team for that.
Yeah.
Go on, run through your team. Let's have a look.
So obviously I've gone early to get Arsenal assets in. I think it's the perfect time to do it. Obviously, I already have Gyökeres in my team, but I'm going to go triple up with getting Gabriel and potentially Saka.
So you got Saka in there now, okay?
Yeah.
Are you confident on his minutes?
Again, not 100% for this up and coming game week.
Yeah.
But I would expect from game week 7 onwards. Yes, he looked okay coming on at half time. Didn't look too short of fitness. Arteta doesn't tend to take too many risks with regards to the players if he had to have been fit enough really to name him on the bench because he would have rested him otherwise.
So just a question on the Madueke injury. Once that's either confirmed or denied.
I've heard news today that it's potentially 2 months.
2 months. Okay, so call it if it's 2 months. Saka's just back from an injury. And I think you signed Madueke to protect Saka because in seasons gone, he has been sort of flogged to the point of breaking. If he's not fit to start, who do you think plays that right side?
It's a tough one because it could be any 3 really. It could be Martinelli, it could be Trossard, it could even be Nwaneri. So it could be any 3 of them. There's not one that I would pick as downright favourite to take that spot if Saka was still not fully fit, to be honest.
Sure.
Full form I would suggest Martinelli. But again, Arteta's been fairly free with changing the odd player here and there week to week so far. It'd be interesting to see.
It's a shame for Madueke because he was looking sharp, wasn't he?
Yeah, sharp for England. Sharp start for Arsenal without really getting obviously the FPL points to back his performances up. But yeah, definitely was creating issues, and yeah, it is a shame.
So you got the Petrovic in goal. Who's your backup keeper? Pope, okay.
It's my current view. Again, I wanted to try and find a way to get into that Newcastle defence, and I was looking at the fixtures, and they quite align nicely with, when one's got a tougher fixture, I can swap one in. So I thought that was a nice way to get in there. There's no real defensive assets from Newcastle that have many attacking returns. So yeah, I thought that was the safest option. Again, not 100%, but that's kind of my current view.
Okay.
And then the 2 DEFCON boys in Senesi and Tarkowski alongside Mukiele from Sunderland, who we said. So again, he's got 3 DEFCON returns from 3 starts. And then Van der Ven, cheap way into that Tottenham defence with again still fairly favourable fixtures upcoming. Again, I don't feel like I need to pay the 0.5 mil extra for Romero. I don't think he offers much more. Yeah, not seeing attacking returns from Porro to really over-invest there. So obviously I went for Gabriel as my other premium defender. And then, Reinders, I need I say much? He's 5.5, or he was when I bought him. I think he's probably got a couple of price hikes since then.
He had a price hike to 5.7 and weirdly got sold and dropped to 5.6.
Yeah, very
before
strange.
last week. Yeah,
but yeah, I'm glad I've got him. I think he's a nice budget option to have going forward to get into that City midfield, and I think he'd definitely play. So I think his minutes are almost guaranteed. So I'm happy about that. So with Semenyo, the guy's on form. His numbers speak for themselves with regards to his attacking numbers. Again, I'm happy to have him for the Leeds fixture, and Bournemouth fixtures are fairly nice going forward.
Isn't he second on the XG behind Haaland this season?
Almost half. But
almost half. Quite a long way behind, but second nonetheless.
But still, Ndai, probably the best Everton attacking asset. Again, Everton fixtures are fairly nice. They become a bit more difficult from game week 13, so I'll probably start my plan to move off them from then onwards.
He's picked up DEFCON last 2 weeks as an attacking player, which is, I sent you a list of all the DEFCON midfield players, and he was the only one on the list that's an attacking non-central midfield player that's on the list, which shows you the hard work and that he's putting in. Yeah,
which again is a nice added bonus. And then I've gone for the template front three. I think we'll see in most people's wildcard of Gyökeres, Pedro, and Haaland. And Pedro's probably the only real Chelsea asset that I would pick, because again, I don't know which midfielders are going to play. Defensively, they're not great, so I don't see the point of being in their defence. And then the last person I haven't talked about is Stack to make my fifth midfielder. So Mill, he's pretty good on the old DEFCON returns himself, and so far he's chipped in with I think a goal and an assist as well. And again, he looks ever present in that Leeds midfield. So again, I'm happy to have him as a backup off of the bench.
Well, I mean, your team's definitely ready for a bench boost, isn't it? Well, depending on what week you decide to pull that trigger.
Yeah.
I know game week 8, Leeds play Burnley.
Okay.
Which might be a nice week to look at, especially with Stack there. So you've gone for him as your best sort of 5 mil option over sort of a Dewsbury Hall or a Brooks from Bournemouth.
Yeah. I think it's because he kind of, I think he'll just be more, he just seems to be more consistent over those weeks. I guess the other thing, like I said of my commentary, the other thing to consider is whether I go with Foden or maybe Xavi Simons for this game week for Saka, and maybe roll into Saka next week.
Sure.
But so far I've put the budget into Saka just to sit there, but we'll see.
Well, he's a good placeholder. I mean, if you can get that team, if you ignore Saka, looking at that, there's probably not many holes in that team. He can be the position you play with. You get Foden in for this week, and then if Saka's then looks like he's fit, then get him in for game week 7. Then you're only messing around with one position then, which is wise. Good, excellent,
cool. And then last but not least,
then the car crash.
Darren's.
Now we promised to be nice.
You have to be nice.
Don't have to be. That's a car crash of a team. This is a free hit team.
So obviously Darren wildcarded a couple of weeks ago, and he's decided to free hit this week. I'm not sure if he's locked this in, but this is his first draft that he sent to us based on what his current thought process.
Do you think all that flat beer he's been drinking out in Gran Canaria had an effect on this team?
Maybe it's turned his stomach. I'm not sure. But he's obviously gone for a team that includes Haaland and Salah for a free hit team. I'm just I mean
the glaring thing that stands out is those two midfield players, right? Xhaka and Tonali. I mean, I wouldn't, if I picked 20 wildcard permutations, they wouldn't be on any team or under any consideration. So I'm not really sure what his thinking is for those two.
I think the difficulty he's come into here is obviously spending the majority of his budget in Haaland and Salah. So that's why his team looks a little imbalanced. But you're then honing all your money into those two players having to get you the points in this instance.
Yeah. But you point out Stack, that Xhaka's 5 mil. So Stack would be an instant upgrade, as would Dewsbury Hall playing West Ham. for that Saka role. And Tonali, what's he priced? 5.5?
I think it's 5.4.
Is he? Okay, so maybe difficult to fit a player of that sort of price in there, but you can have better options than Tonali. I mean, he gets the odd return. I don't think he's all that good for DEFCON contribution, so not entirely sure on that one.
Yeah, I just think it's a tough game to pick him for.
Yeah, playing Arsenal, yeah.
I know defensively they've been a strong team, and it could be a 0-0 draw, but yeah, you're going to get a 1 point clean sheet bonus if that's the case from Tonali.
Yeah.
I kind of understand Xhaka. He's got DEFCON in his locker.
Yeah.
For the first couple of game weeks, I think he's at least got it at least once over the last 2. He's got an assist, I think.
Yeah.
Last keep.
Yeah, he got the assist last game week. Yeah.
So I think he has. Is important to Sunderland's team. So I guess and obviously he's playing Forest, who are not in good form. So I kind of semi-understand that. He spent a lot of money in 2 premium defenders. Again, the Newcastle game for Arsenal is not the easiest. Again, I know it's 2 defensive solid teams, so it could be a 0-0 draw.
They look quite blunt, Newcastle, don't they? So I wouldn't be overly concerned about playing.
No, me neither. But I'm just wondering whether he could invest that better elsewhere to have more money to invest in those Xhaka and Tonali positions, and then still keep Haaland and Salah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, going Haaland and Salah for 1 week. I mean, I did it in game week 4 and it worked. But that's looking at there's some good defensive matchups in that week. This week, not so much. I guess Spurs Wolves is a good one. And again, I think the best on paper is the Everton West Ham game. So a Tarkowski for Virgil saves you $500,000, which you could then invest in Tonali, I guess, and bump up to a pushing $6 million midfield player instantly there. But Darren plays the game as he sees it, and very occasionally it pays off in spades, and he'll score an amazing week out of nowhere, which is how we sort of rolls, isn't it? So let's see.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'll be interested to see if this is the final team he sticks with. To be honest,
of course not. Of course, he'd be tinkering right up until 11 o'clock Saturday.
But yeah, if he saves that 0.5, then he can get Reinders in, for example.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Against Burnley, which I would suggest is more favourable asset to have for a free hit week.
Yep.
All right.
There you go.
Well,
all 3 of us using chips potentially this week, all different chips, which is the beauty of the game this year.
Exactly that. Well, I think that's it. I think we've covered game week 6 in a nutshell. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I hope my wildcard pays off, and I will certainly look into that bench boost that you've rightly pointed me to. So yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed. Have a great game week 6, and we will be back for game week 7. See you soon.
Lovely. See ya. Bye-bye.